Hello, everyone. We are back for another episode of Spilling the Tea, and today we've got Jaws here. How are you doing?
Pretty good, not bad. Inside surviving. I think
Yeah.
like the rest of us.
Okay. Well, we got some questions from different socials sent in. Just gonna fire away on some of them and see what you think.
Go for it.
So we'll start with some questions from Twitter. JCK Overwatch asks, "Is there anything in general that you miss from the UK that you can't get in the States?" And I know the answer to this.
Do you know the answer?
There's a lot of stuff that I miss from the UK that I can't get in the States, but food is always the biggest one.
Yeah, real chocolate would be nice.
Yeah, that's the classic.
Food without like a billion E numbers and stuff in it, and like the added sugar, I think, in a lot of American foods, which is really annoying.
Yep.
I love some foods here when I can go out and actually eat at restaurants and stuff. Obviously, we can't do that now, but home cooked UK food that my mum makes, yeah, I can't really get that anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like everyone misses home cooking when they're away, but also just like even just savory stuff that's not sweets. Like obviously, like Cadbury's is the easy answer, but just stuff like I don't know, like a sausage roll, like Greg's or something. Like I miss that a lot. I know that some of the other guys would agree on that as well.
What I would give for a Greg's to be down the road, seriously.
Yep.
Just getting a cheap sandwich or sausage roll or some sort of bap or whatever. God damn.
Yeah, for sure, man. Epic G Gaming asks, "How does it feel being surrounded by casters who are hard stuck goal while you actually know how to play the game?"
I love this meme. I don't know how to play the game that well. I'm like, I'm just Grandmaster, like not top 500 or anything. Also, people forget Jake is a ex-Overwatch player, so I'm not the only caster that knows how to play. But it is quite funny. I've got a specific account that I use to play with Josh and Bren and everybody else. It's called Apex, that I just have to log on to because all my other accounts are way too high. It's quite funny. I poke fun at Mitch all the time for it. It's hilarious.
Thomas underscore R59 asks, "Are you a shark?" Very important question.
I'm slowly developing into one. I bought a shark onesie the other day. Maybe one day I'll slowly, anamorphs my way into being a shark. And then, I won't be able to get hired then, but, oh well, I can just live in the ocean.
Maybe one day you get like an April Fool's cast or something where you get to wear the shark costume on cast,
I want to push that idea really bad, where we all wear onesies on cast of like different animals. So Cuss has got the kangaroo one, I've got the shark one, then like Mitch is a koala or something.
Yeah, of course. I can answer this one as well, but Jojo Hinky asks, "Have you guys ever duoed, and if so, what's your win loss?" We haven't duoed, although I have encountered you in EU ranked at least a few times before.
We've definitely played a few times together, yeah, but yeah, we haven't duoed, so
yeah, off-season EU ranked is always my favorite. I always love like all the EU Our Pros and the contenders players from EU going back because I know like every name in ranked.
That was the best time to play ranked, yeah, because all the pros would come back to Europe and you'd get pros in every single game, and that was when like Goats was the thing too, at least when I played last EU rank, so that felt really good. And I do have my fondest memory actually of that is killing Soon when I was Zen. He was Widow, just cross map, dinking him a couple of times in the head. Easily my fondest memory of EU ranked.
Yeah, I'm sure EU ranked is not as good when all the people like the OWL people are in NA and stuff, obviously. But when I'm back there and when everyone's home, it's always for me like more fun than even OWL ranked with like all the OWL pros.
100%.
For some reason I just really have this this like for EU ranked.
No, I feel it. Don't worry. I feel exactly the same. The affinity for EU is always going to be there, I think.
How Instaboss underscore mix asks, "How hard is it to cast the game with a bunch of plats in the chat?"
Bunch of plats in the chat. Oh my god. Normally you just don't look. I don't think I've looked at chat once since like I casted contenders because it is just papige. It's just so papega.
Yeah, it really is.
The funniest thing. And hearing like casting feedback, the best note I've ever received from someone like that, and it might have been on Reddit or it might have been in Twitch chat. Someone flamed me for saying people could die in Transcendence because this guy was so convinced that everything was invulnerable when the Zenyatta was transcendencing. I'm like, okay, well now I'm just never going to look at chat ever again.
That is some next level papega.
Yeah.
The Dimba asks, "After coming off of obviously Semler casting with Hex, how does it feel to sort of take that spot, and how does it feel to like cast with Hex as well?"
I've said this before a couple of times, just in my stream, but Hex is like one of the easiest people I've ever cast with, like hands down. I had another cast, like my long-term casting partner from back in the UK when I was doing other games, Ex-Scoundrel. He reminds me of him a little bit in the way that it doesn't really... I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but you just instantly get on with the person as soon as you meet them. And I've never had a point. Maybe in our first cast in New York, the New York homestand, there was a couple of little trip ups, but within like an hour or two of us casting together, it's just been smooth sailing. Hex is like so easy to get on with, which is really important. And like we understand when each other's going to talk and all that kind of stuff too. But yeah, it's the easiest transition I've ever had into a new casting partner. Hex is a fantastic person to have. It's a bit of big boots to step into because Semler is very good at casting. Like he is easily one of the best casters in the world for FPS games, and a little bit nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie, when the first cast came around for the homestands, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm hoping doing a good job filling his ginormous boots.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, the casts have been really great in general so far this year, but you two as well. I mean, obviously, yeah, listening to Hex, you can always sort of tell that he's like sort of got that, he has that vibe about him. He really knows what he's doing, you know, it works
super
well.
Easy going.
You two work well together, yeah, as well. It's really important to have that sort of know, obviously, when each other's going to be talking and just work, like, sort of roll off of each other, you know?
Yeah, it feels good, man. Honestly, it does. That's the one big thing that I think every cast is worried about when they go to another duo or they go to another event and do something brand new with someone else is how long will it take me to get on with this person? And is it going to work for this event or, you know, for me at least, this long-term league that's going to be happening throughout the year? And having someone like Hex to just ease you in like that, it's been a dream, honestly.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well because you don't really think about that aspect when you're just like a viewer, you know. You think about the casters individually and the duos maybe, but you don't really think about how they mesh together so much sometimes as well, and how there's sort of that synergy there too. It's an interesting topic for sure.
Definitely.
Some Reddit questions now. Travis asks, "How did you choose your name?" I feel like I might know the answer, but why? I guess.
Why do you think it is?
I mean, I just assume it's Jaws, you know? I mean, it's just maybe you like the movies. That's all I can imagine.
That's what everybody says. It's actually my initials.
Really?
I've never had another nickname ever.
Okay.
It was my first like gaming name from. I don't even remember. I can't pinpoint the exact game or the exact point in time where I had that name. Like, me and my friends used to play Halo with each other around each other's houses, like bring our original Xboxes around, play Halo 2, Halo 1 together all the time on like a LAN setup, and it was hella fun. And I've only ever used Jaws as an ID on that. And even before that, I playing like single player games and stuff. Like,
yeah,
I've always had Jaws, and I think it must have been my dad was like, oh, you could just use your initial. It's like JAW, and then Jaws sounds a bit weird, so you just add an S. Jaws is like the shark, and sharks are, funnily enough, my favorite animal. So it just kind of happened, and I've never had other nickname since. That's the story.
That's really interesting. Actually, it's good. Like, it's super creative how you come up with that sort of around your name, because like. I've always, not so much anymore, but there's been points where I thought about sort of my alias and what I go by, and kind of wish that it was something more personal to me as well. You know, like something sort of to do with my name or something that represents me better. Whereas my alias is sort of just something that I thought was cool, and I've been using since I was like 10 years old. So it kind of just stuck. But I guess that's sort of like how everyone has their own story behind their name, you know, and it kind of just sticks in the end. So it's kind of like an identity. Well, it is an identity at this point.
Being an identity it's really strange because most people call me Jaws because it's super easy to say. Because it's one syllable. It's like my name, also one syllable. But if my nickname was longer, people would probably just call me Jack. But it's because I know a lot of people in esports that I would never call, for example, Trid. I'd never call him Tom. Ever. I'd always call him Trid because it's just easier to say, and like people just know him by that, and it's just become my first name some of the time. Like, there's a lot of people that still call me Jack, but like in esports, meeting new people, it's just people just call me Jaws. It's only like my really close friends that will call me Jack, like every now and then, you know.
Interesting that you bring that up as well. We in the Boston Uprising team, we call each other by our first names, right? It feels a lot more personal when you're living with people like that. But when you meet a new player for the first time and you've known them as that name, especially when it's easier to say, it becomes very hard. So actually, Punk just got here, right? Obviously, he was announced today when we were recording this, and his name is obviously very easy to say, right? Punk, and I played with him on a team for like 3 months together on Uprising Academy before, so I know him as Punk. But obviously now I'm trying to call him by his first name, and his first name's Leighton, and it's so much harder for me to get used to saying it, because not only is it more syllables, but it's also just, it's so weird to me to call him that. But
it's also a different sounding word, like completely. There's no
exactly, yeah. There's no like similarity there. But I kind of had the same with obviously last year. I always called Color X Color. And now I call him by his first name. So you get used to it over time, but it's interesting actually, because it's sort of, there's a little like this line between aliases and real names, and it's very hard to like sort of switch in your head sometimes what people's actual names are, you know.
I have definitely met brand new people that aren't in esports, and I've introduced myself accidentally as Jaws.
As Jaws, yeah.
And I'm like, hi, my name's Jaws, and I'm like, oh, sorry, Jack. I mean, like,
that's just a classic.
When I got here and I'd set up a bank account, I introduced myself as Jaws, and I was like, wait, that's not my name. And the guy must have been like, wow, they really have weird names in the UK. Like, what do you think? I'm like,
that's
no,
a bad one.
Jack, I'm just so used to calling myself that. Like, and then I had to go on like a tangent to explain what I do, and like,
I've not done that, but a classic is always when signing stuff. Remember the first time I signed stuff for Owl, instead of writing Fusions, I accidentally wrote my normal signature. Which was always a good one. So they get this signed shirt with the whole of the Boston Uprising team, and then there's just C. Bosworth there, and they're like, what the hell?
Who's this?
Who's this guy?
New player or manager?
Is this their manager? Just signed it, you know? Jerry Sycophant, who always has great questions, asks, if the caster's commune, aka your house, was raided by the police, who would they most likely be after?
I'd probably say Bren. I think that's an obvious answer.
Feel like that's the obvious answer, yeah.
Yeah, just for the I would say, they raid him for though. Probably the amount of trash that he has in his room, potentially. Not been in there for a little while because he keeps his door shut every single day, but maybe some nefarious things in there as well. But Bren, or the music, the loud music that the speaker, because we have a home gym downstairs too, so maybe a noise complaint, they're raiding that too, because he cranks that up to like 200% when he works out. So probably that. Probably Brian.
Yep, the classic. That's all the questions we got time for. Thank you so much, Jaws, for coming on, and thank you for answering the questions.
Yeah, it's been good. It's nice to speak to you again.
Yeah, no, it's been a while since we had a chat, but yeah, it was good. We'll have to catch up sometime for sure.
I'm sure I'll see you in your ranked at some point. Don't worry.
All right, thanks for watching, everyone.